Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here is what we have in the bulletin. 5.3 magnitude tremor rocks Jamaica. Patient transfers put on hold at UHWY. And later in sports, new English Premier League season begins this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. 5.3 magnitude earthquake struck Jamaica at approximately 8:05 this morning. According to the UHW earthquake unit, the tremor was felt in multiple parishes, including Kingston, St. Thomas, St. Elizabeth, St. Catherine, Portland, and Westmoreland. This is the second earthquake to affect Jamaica this week, leaving residents on edge. On Monday afternoon, a magnitude 2.9 quake was also felt in sections of the country.
Rather than the pressure building up and you have a big one, right? So it's not. We should be grateful that we're having these small ones, not having a big massive thing.
The police say a male suspect seen in a viral video threatening Prime Minister Andrew Holness and his wife is now in custody. The man was picked up in Manchester on Thursday. He's said to be of unsound mind. The police say he's been treated at hospital under police guard. TVJ News understands that he's also suspected of being behind a series of bomb threats issued to schools and organizations in recent times. Investigations continue. Several persons were injured following a motor vehicle collision in the vicinity of the Miami Bay roundabout in St. Anne Thursday. The incident happened at about 5 p.m. According to reports, a white truck was traveling from Ocho Rios when it collided with another truck that was coming from the direction of the Siaga Highway. Both vehicles ended up in a ditch. The injured persons were taken to hospital where they received medical attention. An investigation is currently underway. The University Hospital of the West Indies has announced a temporary hold on patient transfers from public facilities. Medical Chief of Staff Dr. Carl Bruce says this is due to a surge in emergency room admissions. The hospital is urging private and public hospitals as well as nursing homes to retain stable patients until the situation improves.
The hospital is seeing an increased number of patients, medical patients, 90%. With the complications of chronic non-communicable diseases. The emergency room is full and overwhelmed. We're therefore putting a hold on transfer from other hospitals, private and public, nursing homes, etc. And for those emergency patients, we're still seeing them, and critical care patients who need ICU, that's always done directly to the ICU. They don't necessarily go to the emergency room. So those transfers remain intact.
The newly renovated Buff Bay District Health Center in Portland is now officially opened. The upgrade center will offer a broader range of services to residents of Buff Bay and surrounding areas. Meanwhile, Northeast Regional Health Authority says the facility was badly in need of repair.
For what we're doing here today. The old infrastructure negatively impacted the capacity to deliver quality healthcare services, and it became very difficult to attract technical staff. Today, however, we have turned a new page in the history of this community with the opening of this modern health center. As we stand here, it is imperative that we acknowledge the hard work and commitment of everyone involved in bringing this vision to life.
In the meantime, Member of Parliament for West Portland, Darrell Vaz, has announced a series of developments aimed at transforming Buff Bay. The initiative will focus on renovating critical infrastructure. Topping the list is the Buff Bay Police Station.
We're going to build back a proper police station on the original site. And I'm sure when you're leaving, you look left, you will see it. We have a state-of-the-art police station similar to the state-of-the-art health center that we have. We have the Justice Center, which is next door, again up the road, which was completely refurbished recently in the last couple of years to make sure that it is conducive for restoration, for interventions, for court cases, etc., etc. Again, restoring it to the old Georgian look at tens of millions of dollars.
The Buff Bay market will also receive much needed attention.
We are now putting the market back so that the market will be useful for the purposes that the people in Buff Bay want, which includes the selling of meat. So we are going to make sure that people can go and buy their meat in a cleanly, properly defined area, specific for that, along with all the other things. Because you know that markets now are not just fruit and vegetable. Market as a whole, wide range of things.
One human rights advocate is backing the government's plans for the construction of a maximum security prison. Carla Golato, Executive Director of Stand Up Jamaica, was speaking on Power 106 Friday. Raquel Porter reports.
Just this week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that the government has drafted plans for the construction of a maximum security prison. This move comes after revelations that individuals behind bars were among the masterminds behind the recent mass shooting on Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon. The plan has received support from Carla Golato, Executive Director of Stand Up for Jamaica, a human rights organization. Ms. Golato has worked extensively in the prison system.
Let me give you a couple of numbers. The Tower Street General Penitentiary, it was built for 800 inmates. Actually, there are 1,700 and more. That means that people there do not have not even the space to lie down in a cell. I think people don't have sympathy for people which are in conflict with the law, because Jamaica is an aggressive society. So people feel like you do something wrong, lock them up and throw away the key.
She says the current state of prisons poses significant health risk to inmates and fails to meet minimum international standards.
The famous Tower Street or other institution, the lockup time is between 3:30 and 9:30 a.m. Along that time, there is no access to bathroom, restroom, latrine. So each inmate has a little bucket into the cell and has to use that bucket for his needs. So he has to defecate in front of everybody, urinate in front of everybody. It is very humiliating, but it's also health hazard.
Additionally, she says the existing infrastructure is inadequate and that there is a need for modern correctional facilities that prioritize rehabilitation and integration.
When you have an infrastructure like this, which is falling apart, which is dangerous. For example, after the last earthquake in October, DCS had to make an inspection, and they find out that some of the blocks were at risk to fall apart. And so they had to close some of them, which means more overcrowding. So when you have an infrastructure like this, let me say straight, one of the main key of rehabilitation is education.
Raquel Porto, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Vendors in the Browntown arcade say their businesses being affected by lack of electricity in the facility. They want the issue to be addressed ahead of the back-to-school shopping rush.
Over a month has passed since the passage of Hurricane Beryl, but for vendors in the Browntown arcade, the impact still lingers. They've been dealing with power outages, making it challenging to operate effectively.
Some places have current, some places don't have no current. We have to lock up for at least 4 or 5 o'clock in the evenings because the place is dark. The whole of the ceiling light them gone. We have to pack up before time, scared. So we have to go home because, as I said, many man out gunman out, so you have to pack up and go home. So when this lady have light over here and I don't have any, in order for me to get little light, I have to put in an extension and run it across. You understand? And I know that's dangerous. That is dangerous.
The disgruntled vendors have refused to pay market fees, citing the deplorable conditions. Despite numerous reports to the relevant authorities, their pleas for assistance have fallen on deaf ears. With the new school year just weeks away, they want the matter to be addressed urgently.
After 3 weeks, they say we start lock. Well, me who for 5 or go 6 weeks. So I'm waiting on them to come and lock my stall. Because me make the report and I do it in a credible way. I do the letters, I carry it down to the municipality. Nobody come and address us.
Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Michael Belnavis, says a team from the corporation is addressing the issue.
However, what's been happening in and around the area, sometimes the main junction box is overloaded because there's a lot of people. And when you go through, you'll see it. People throw up wires and quote unquote steal electricity. And with that, it creates a demand on a system that is not generated, that is not built for that amount of electricity connections.
Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Loan disbursements and grants to Jamaica for new and ongoing projects totaled $37.7 billion last year. The 2023 Economic and Social Survey Jamaica, released by the Planning Institute of Jamaica PIOJ, says this represented a 41.5% decline compared to 2022. Loan disbursements last year amounted to $18.2 billion, while grant disbursements were valued at $19.5 billion. The PIOJ says the lower value of disbursements was linked to the lack of a quicker dispersing policy-based loans for the year. Less funds were also dispersed for the execution of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. As it nears completion, the People's Republic of China had lower payments towards the project. Now further afield, newly announced price drops on 10 Medicare drugs could be just the start of more affordable prescriptions. The costs are set to come down in 2026. The drugs are for conditions like diabetes, heart failure and cancer. The Biden administration says the new prices will save the federal government $6 billion and seniors $1.5 billion. And that's it for the Business Minute.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Haitian Prime Minister Gary Conille pledged to work with Haitian's Transnational Presidential Council to ensure free and fair elections by 2025. Trudeau reaffirmed Canada's support for the Kenya-led multinational security support mission and highlighted ongoing Canadian aid to Haiti, including over $400 million Canadian dollars since 2022. On the international scene, Thailand's parliament has approved the nomination of Paetongtarn Shinawatra as the country's youngest ever prime minister. She's the daughter of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, who was deposed by a military coup in 2006. The new prime minister was nominated after the previous one was dismissed on Wednesday by the Constitutional Court for ethics violations. Assuming she receives the necessary royal endorsement from the king, she will start work as the new prime minister and head of the ruling coalition facing many challenges, particularly stimulating the economy. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Raquel Porter.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.